My spouse betrayed me with a colleague at a work event, left me, and later used our frozen embryo without my consent to conceive. I reconciled with her, but now she's abandoned our child and wants no contact with us. My wife, 36, and I, 40, have been a couple for 5 years and married last year. We've had our share of challenges, but we're generally content. On Friday, she attended a holiday gathering with her coworkers and came home around midnight, extremely intoxicated. She mentioned she enjoyed herself and went straight to sleep. The next day, I received an anonymous Instagram message from someone claiming to be her coworker, alleging she was flirting all evening with a male colleague, 44, and that they left together around 9 p.m. to head to the train station. The sender, after staying longer for drinks, claimed to have seen my wife and the man holding hands at the station around 10:45 p.m. They didn't notice her. That evening, I confronted my wife with the message. She said she was too drunk to recall anything after 8 p.m. When I asked if she left with the man, she checked her phone's location history, which showed they went to a nearby bar for about an hour before arriving at the station at 10:40 p.m. She handed me her phone to check, and I found no suspicious messages. As far as I could tell, she didn't have his number, and they weren't connected on social media. When I asked if she flirted with him, she admitted she spent most of the night talking to him because he's the only coworker she connects with, but insisted it was friendly, not romantic. She's mentioned this colleague before, noting their shared interests. She denied holding hands, but said she couldn't remember clearly. She claimed to know who sent the message, a female coworker who dislikes her for unknown reasons. Today, she's been in a sour mood and we've barely spoken. I'm unsure how to proceed. Does this seem as suspicious as it feels? Update 1. Many asked for an update and a lot has unfolded in the past week. I'll share further updates on my profile. On Monday, Sam returned from work and casually mentioned speaking with a colleague, Tom, who said they weren't holding hands but walking arm in arm because she was drunk and in heels. I asked why her coworker, Helen, would create an Instagram account to message me about hand-holding. Sam said Helen has feelings for Tom, made a move on him after his divorce, and was rejected. I asked why Helen would see her as a threat. Sam replied that she and Tom are close friends, and Helen is jealous, as shown by her message. When I asked why she and Tom went for a drink alone, she said they passed a bar with a great live band and stopped in. Her only regret was getting too drunk too early. The next day, Sam came home with a new dress for her company's Christmas party, clarifying that the previous event was just casual drinks with coworkers. The actual party was Friday, which she claimed she'd mentioned. I barely slept that night. The next day, I responded to Helen's Instagram message, asking if she thought anything was going on. She replied quickly, saying Sam and Tom flirt at work and everyone notices. She claimed Sam was nearly fired, but Tom vouched for her, keeping her employed. She also said Sam complains about me at work, suggesting our marriage is unhappy. I asked if Helen was attending the party, and she confirmed she was and would update me. On Friday, Sam finished work early to prepare for the party. She looked stunning, and I didn't want her to go but felt unable to say so. Around midnight, Helen messaged me, saying Sam and Tom hadn't interacted at the party, but the group moved to another bar before 11 p.m. Sam and Tom arrived at the new bar just before midnight. Sam got home around 2 a.m., less drunk than before, and went straight to bed. I pretended to be asleep. Checking her phone's location history, I saw she took a 3-mile detour to a residential street after leaving the party venue, stayed for 30 minutes, then went to the bar. I sent the address to Helen, who replied the next morning, saying it was Tom's house. When Sam woke up, I asked if she cheated with Tom. She angrily denied it. I told her I knew she'd been to his house. She accused me of spying, called me controlling, and said she was going to her sister's. She claimed she went to Tom's to smoke cannabis before heading to the bar, then stormed out. She ignored my calls and messages all Sunday. I contacted her sister, who hadn't seen her but later texted that Sam was okay. Sam returned home Monday morning. When I asked where she'd been, she said she was done and wanted a divorce. While packing, I asked if she was leaving for Tom. She denied anything improper but said my jealousy was the final straw, calling me controlling and saying she's been unhappy for a while. She left. It seems I'll spend Christmas alone. I'm unsure if she was truthful or having an affair. Strangely, I'm feeling okay today, so maybe this is for the best. Update 2. After Sam left, she blocked me on social media and ignored my calls and messages. I traveled across the country to spend Christmas with my parents. On Christmas Eve, Sam returned to our home and took more belongings, which I saw on our security cameras. I tried calling, but she didn't answer. Christmas was tough. My parents were shocked, in denial, and insisted Sam would come back. I eventually said she'd met someone else. I returned home on December 27. Sam's sister sent occasional updates confirming Sam was fine, but gave no details. We'd planned to spend New Year's Eve at Sam's favorite bar, but I went alone, and she didn't show. On Tuesday, Helen messaged me on Instagram, saying Sam and Tom arrived at work together in his car. I didn't respond. Wednesday night, she said Sam was turning the office against her, and Tom was pushing management to transfer or fire her. She begged me to act. I texted Sam to talk, but she didn't reply. The next day, I called her office, used a fake name, and got through. She reluctantly agreed to meet at a pub after work. I arrived early. She was 25 minutes late. She apologized for ignoring me, said she still cares and wants to part amicably. I demanded the truth. She insisted she and Tom are just friends, though they talk often at work. She said my suspicion after Helen's message was understandable, but I should have trusted her denial. She felt she couldn't spend time with male friends because I'd get jealous, though I never forbade it. She said my moods when she hung out with men made her feel restricted. She believes we married to fix a failing relationship, and we've grown apart. I mentioned hearing she arrived at work with Tom. She said she went to his place after I accused her of cheating, realizing our relationship was over. They spent the weekend together and decided they'd be a better match. She insisted nothing happened until after she asked for a divorce. She's now with Tom and wanted me to hear it from her. Tom was waiting outside in his car. I walked out. Sam texted, urging me not to do anything rash. I blocked her number. That night was tough, and the next day I felt numb. Over the weekend, I found our marriage certificate to start divorce proceedings. I haven't replied to Helen. I plan to find a job near my hometown, as I moved here for Sam and never settled. I don't want to run into her and Tom. We rent, so moving should be easier. This is likely my last update unless something drastic happens. Thanks for reading. Update 3. My soon-to-be ex-wife is pregnant and told a friend it's mine. The only way this could happen is if she used our last frozen embryo without my approval. Either the IVF clinic didn't require my consent, or she convinced them I'd agreed. When I moved out in January, I couldn't find my passport, so she might have it. I'm awaiting a call from the clinic, but I'm panicked and need to understand the consequences. Could she face jail time? What happens to the clinic? What about the baby, given the situation? We're in England. Thanks. Edit. I spoke with the clinic manager, and it's my fault. After our last embryo failed, we signed paperwork for the final transfer. Sam developed hormonal issues, so we paused the process. Later, we decided not to proceed, and she informed the clinic. They paused the process for up to 3 years to protect our deposit, keeping the consent forms valid. Sam had the transfer 6 weeks ago. Update 4. My ex-wife is expecting our first child, due on Christmas Eve. We split last Christmas, and I moved 200+ miles to my parents' home. She started dating a coworker, causing workplace drama, leading to her resignation in February with a 6-month salary settlement. That relationship ended, and she used the money to resume our paused IVF process. When I learned of her pregnancy, I contacted the clinic, who said the original contracts were still valid and they did nothing wrong. Disagreeing, I hired solicitors specializing in clinical negligence and contract law. They secured a settlement with the clinic, avoiding court, netting Sam and me about £80,000 each after fees. The clinic also updated their policy to require reconfirmed consent from both parties before embryo transfers. For 4 months, I've been in touch with Sam, discussing the settlement and attending scans in the South. When asked why she proceeded, she said it was her last chance to have a child, and the settlement money was assigned to act before I withdrew consent. She's been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, which she believes excuses her actions. She wants us to reunite and raise our son together. I'm not interested in a romantic relationship, but don't want to be 200 miles from my son. I have a new job and didn't want to return to Hampshire, but Sam agreed to move to Yorkshire if we lived together. We used the settlement to buy a house in my hometown. I got the keys last week and have been preparing it for our move next week. Sam has no friends, family, or job here, so cohabitation will be awkward, but I hope we'll establish a co-parenting routine once the baby arrives. The house has 3 bedrooms, 1 for each of us and 1 for our son. We agreed not to date others for 3 years at her request. How should I handle this? We're thrilled to be parents, and I hope I'm making the best of a difficult situation, but there are obvious risks. I don't see us rekindling romance, but ideally, we'll live together for a few years, sell the house, and co-parent nearby. I hope I'm not being naive. My parents are excited about their grandchild, but disapprove of us living together. Update 5. My last post received strong criticism. Reading comments calling my decision a mistake was jarring after all the effort I'd put in. Someone shared a link to my earlier posts, and hearing my story read aloud stirred feelings of guilt and shame. I realized I hadn't processed last Christmas or why it happened. The next day, I contacted a therapist. Sam moved in the day before my first session. It was tense, but she was busy settling into her room, so I gave her space. That evening, we ordered pizza and watched a film, which was pleasant. I met the therapist the next day and outlined the situation. He thought living together was unwise, but agreed to help us manage since we'd started. He recommended couples therapy. Sam and I have attended weekly sessions, reviewing our entire relationship. After 4 miscarriages, the last 2 past 12 weeks, Sam's mental health suffered greatly. I began withdrawing from the idea of having a child but didn't discuss it with her, knowing how much she wanted to be a mother. Instead, I distanced myself. She noticed, blamed herself, and spiraled, worsened by undiagnosed bipolar disorder and IVF-related hormonal issues. She thought I wanted out but was too weak to say so, so I disengaged, waiting for her to give up. The Tom situation was the breaking point, and she stopped fighting for our marriage, letting me exit guilt-free. In therapy, I've accepted my role in our marriage's collapse. I wasn't a supportive husband toward the end, and it's remarkable Sam stayed as long as she did. Time apart showed me I still love her. We've decided to embrace our journey and be grateful for where we are now. I've learned lessons to strengthen our relationship. We're now living as a couple again. I halted the divorce, which was stalled as Sam wouldn't engage. Our son was born December 11, 2 weeks early, and he's perfect. I'm holding him now. I know many who followed my posts will disapprove, but life is short, and I can't imagine a better path. Thanks for your advice and Merry Christmas. Comments where Op responded. Comment 1, don't ignore the Tom issue. Did Helen lose her job because of them? Op, no, Sam lost her job and Helen stayed. Tom didn't defend Sam, causing a big fight, and they broke up. Tom later joined another company. Comment 2, you've been manipulated into taking her back. People warned you living together was a bad idea. Did you not see her using the embryo without consent as manipulation? You fell for her sob story. Op, I considered that, but we've been trying for a child for 3 years with 2 IVF cycles and 4 transfers, all ending in miscarriage. We paused the 5th transfer due to Sam's mental and physical health. She believed it was her last chance and thought I'd withdraw consent. I find that forgivable, but I understand your perspective. Update 6. Sam gave birth to our son in December. She has untreated bipolar disorder and developed severe postpartum depression after Christmas. We agreed she'd stay with her mother for a week to recover. She never returned, and we're no longer in direct contact. Our last talk over a month ago was strained. She shows no interest in our son or receiving updates about him. As far as I know, she's still with her mother, 200+ miles away. I've been offered a year-long secondment at my company's Swedish office to cover maternity leave. I want to accept but don't want to inform Sam as she might interfere. I have our son's passport and birth certificate. Can I leave without telling her? We co-own our house, which I'd like to rent out while I'm away. If Sam returns and finds tenants, could she cause issues? There's no mortgage, and bills are in my name, but she's on the deeds. If she unblocks me and wants to see our son, I'd return. I'm not trying to cut her off permanently, but this move feels right for us.